Hello crafty friends, my name's Alicia, but you can call me Crafty Al. And in today's video, I'm going to be putting together my first set of cards using the February 2026 SheetLoad of Cards printable. I hope you'll stick around to see how they're made and get a few tips along the way. Welcome, or perhaps welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here today. If you are looking for some help putting together the latest SheetLoad of cards, this is the video for you. Yesterday, I debuted the brand new SheetLoad of cards for February 2026. Make sure if you haven't yet seen that video to find out how to get your printable that you check it out. It is linked down in that description box below. Today, I'm going to be putting my first set together and giving you some tips along the way. Also today, my creative team will be joining me in sharing their first sets. Make sure when you're done with my video, you go check out how they've each made this new printable their own. You can use the playlist linked in the description box below, or I'll also have it as an end card at the end of the video. I know that all of them would love for you to stop by, see what they created, and leave them some love. As I get into the process, I will be telling you about the products and tools that I use, but as always, if I ever leave you with any questions, feel free to leave those down in that comment section below. Now, if you're a channel member, make sure to stick around to find out how you can get access to this free common phrases printable that I made to go with this month's sketch. Let's get crafty! I'm going to start by cutting my piece of pattern paper, and I will be cutting a little bit differently than the printable shows. Instead of cutting 2 rows from the top at 5 1/4 inches, I'm going to cut a row off each side at 5 1/4 so I get the most of that scene as possible on each card front. Now there is a little section left over in the center, and since the front of this is pretty much white, I'm going to flip it over and use that opposite side to decorate the inside of my cards. To finish cutting this piece, I'm going to cut each of those sections into 4-inch wide pieces. Now, a couple things you can do. You can use a big, beautiful scenery paper like I did, or you can use a double-sided pattern paper that you like both sides of, and then you can flip half of them so your cards look a little bit different. Let me know down in the comment section below which you think you'll do. Next, I will be cutting CS1, and these pieces, after you cut them, you're going to tear the top and bottom. Now, if you don't want to do that, or you're using a special tool like I am, and I'll show you later, I do give you the approximate torn size down right below that part of the sketch. Now, I am going to show you 2 different ways to cut and kind of tear these pieces. For my CS1 cardstock, I chose Persimmon from Tailored Expressions because I thought it matched kind of that pinky colored flower on the pattern paper. I'm going to cut this sheet in half to 4 1/4 by 11, and then the section on the right I'm just going to set to the side for now. On this first half, I'm going to show you how to cut for tearing, and you'll want to cut this into 3 sections that are 2 inches tall. Now, don't forget you don't need to remember any of these dimensions because you can visit yesterday's video to find out how to download this file for free. Once those 3 pieces are cut, I'm just going to set this to the side with the other half of that cardstock. Next up is V1 or the vellum. Now, if you do not have vellum in your stash, no big deal. Just choose a second coordinating cardstock. Just like with CS1, I'm going to show you 2 different ways to cut and quote-unquote tear these pieces. For my vellum, I'm using 28 pound. It's a little bit thicker, but still allows you to see through to the pattern paper behind it. Once again, I will cut this piece in half to 4 1/4 by 11, and then one of the halves I will cut into the 3 pieces that are the finished size shown on the sketch. Next up for you might be CS2, which is the circle for your focal points. I am doing something a little bit different, so I won't be cutting that now, but keep in mind you can definitely make this a different shape, and if you are going to go for circles or a different die cut shape, this is a great one for scraps. For the card bases this month, you'll need 3 sheets of cardstock that you cut in half and fold in half for 6 bases. While the sketch does call for a top fold card, if you prefer side fold cards, you can definitely do that as well. For my bases today, I decided to use black cardstock to go with some of the outlined flowers on the pattern paper. I'm going to cut each of these in half to 4 1/4 by 11, and I could definitely just fold these in half by hand, but I do like to use a scoring tool to help me get a nice crisp fold. While I work on scoring and folding those, I wanted to take some time to recognize some special channel members. In the month of January, I had some of them earn their 1-year membership badge. So thank you for the continued support to all of the members whose names are scrolling up on screen now. Thank you all so very much for your continued support. If you're not yet a channel member and you would like to find out more about the perks of being one, you can click on the join button below this video or check out the link in the description box below. Membership starts as low as $1.99 a month, and that will get you access to probably the most favorite perk, and that is the visual archive. It is a one-stop shop with thumbnails and direct links to all SheetLoad of Cards editions. Now it's time to do the tearing. The printable does call for trying to tear off approximately 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to start by showing you one of each piece torn, and what I like to do is tear toward me. So you'll see here this first edge, I love that distressed look, and I do the same thing on the opposite edge. For the vellum, the same thing, I do my best to try to tear 1/4 inch off the top and bottom. Here's a look at both of the torn layers put together. Now, if you think there should be less vellum or more vellum, you can cut your pieces accordingly before you do those tears. Tearing is one of those great techniques that adds a nice detail, but you don't have to go out and buy special tools to do it. Now, if you do not feel like tearing your cardstock, I'm going to now show you how on the other halves of the cardstock and vellum, you can get that same kind of look. For mine, I'm going to be using the Holtz Deckle trimmer. This is a special blade that gives you a Deckle edge cut, and if you are going to use something like this, you'll want to use the approximate torn size dimensions on the printable for your pieces. I'm going to get started by cutting just a little bit off the top of the CS1 or the cardstock piece so that one of those ends will have that Deckle look. Now I'm going to rotate that piece and cut it into 3 sections that are 1.5 inches. This way the Deckle will be at the top and bottom, and you don't really waste any extra with the tearing. So if you are going to use something like this trimmer, you could get away with a 1/2 sheet of the cardstock. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the vellum, but these pieces will be 2 3/4 inches tall. Again, you can adjust this measurement if you would like. Here's a look at both of the ways layered together, the torn and the Deckle trim. Let me know which is your favorite down in that comment section below. Now, if you don't want to tear or have a Deckle trimmer, don't worry. You can leave the edges straight, or perhaps you have some decorative border punches. What about some dies that put fun shapes or fun textures into the end? And if that fails, you might have some scissors you could use, a tearing ruler. Let me know down in the comment section below some ideas you have. For my focal points today, I'm going to be using this month's channel member bonus, the Common Phrases Printable. This is a 2-page PDF. On one of them, I do give you light outlines of that 2 1/4 inch circle, and the other one I left those off in case you want to cut a different shape or you wanted to use a different size circle. I will be using this nesting circle set that I got at my local scrapbook store, Scrapbook Haven here in Omaha, and these have deckle edges, you guys, so it kind of goes with that torn look. If you are a channel member and would like access to this month's bonus printable, check out the membership tab later today and look for a graphic like the one up on screen now. It will also be available after this on the monthly blogs. Here's a look at my die cut focal points. I just love that edge on these. Now I do only need 6 of these sentiments for my finished cards. Let me know what the theme of your first set will be this month down in that comment section below. Off camera, I put a piece of white cardstock on the inside of each of my card bases so the personal message is easy to see, and I also used up all of the pattern paper scraps to add a little extra decoration at the bottom. Now it's time to get my pattern papers added to the front, and this is just super easy. I added some ATG to the back and then centered this to get a nice even border all the way around. I like how that pattern paper on the inside with that deckle cut edge kind of looks like grass. I finished adding the rest of the pattern paper to the card fronts. This again would be a good time if you used a double-sided pattern paper that you liked the front and the reverse side of. You could flip half of these over so your cards look a little different. The next thing I did was adhere my cardstock and my vellum layers together, and for this I did get out my mini Scor-Buddy again as a helper because it has that little lip or ledge at the bottom. Now if you don't have a Scor-Buddy, you could use a trimmer if yours has a lip, you could use a stamp positioner. I just like that after I've added the adhesive, I don't have to worry about centering this top to bottom and making sure the edge aligns. That lip helps me with that alignment. While I work on adhering some more of those together, I wanted to share some alternative ideas for these pieces. If you wanted to add more texture, you could always use an embossing folder on one or both layers. Also, if you don't have vellum, I know I did mention earlier you could use cardstock in place of that, but another thing you could do was get out a second piece of pattern paper that would coordinate with the background and use that in place of CS1 and then use cardstock in place of the vellum. Another idea is to follow the sketch and add some twine or fiber wrapped around these two pieces. My cards, I got some black and silver twine out of my stash, and to get these added, what I did was put some ATG on the back of the vellum that would be hidden by the cardstock. I just put one strip at each end. Then I'm going to take the end of my twine and press it into the center of the adhesive, and then I wrap it 3 times, and I wrap one straight across and then 2 times at an angle. Now I'm going to cut off that excess at the other end and press that into the other side of the adhesive. Another idea is to use this die from Spellbinders, which, full transparency, I know I was trying to use my stash and make a wish list this year, but I did break down, and this is the one crafty purchase I made this month because I thought it would be a great way to add that twine look to these cards, but without the bulk. So I hope to come back later in February and show you how that looks on a card. Once those were all adhered together, it was time to put them on the card fronts. This is going to be a place where you can move this up and down as needed. I did put mine a little bit more toward the bottom just so I can see as much of those flowers as possible. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to add your vellum piece. With the first one, I'm just going to put adhesive right on the back, hiding it behind the cardstock. And if you do the twine, you'll have to make sure you're kind of gentle with your adding the adhesive, and you might have to press the twine back in place. But once you have the adhesive on there, or once I had the adhesive on there, I pressed it tightly into place. Maybe adding some liquid glue to help reinforce wouldn't hurt on this. On this second card, I'm going to be using some foam tape. I will still be putting this piece toward the bottom of the card front, but using the foam tape ensures that the ends of the twine are nice and secure, and it also raises it up a little bit so you might not have to worry about the bumpiness of trying to adhere the twine straight to the card front. Now, before I put it on the card front, I did add some liquid glue, so that will give me some time to get it adjusted and make sure each of the edges are aligned. Now with this one, while it does look fun to have it popped up, this will add extra bulk when you're going to mail. For the sentiments, I definitely want to add both of those with foam. Just if you tried to adhere it flat on that, it's definitely going to look bumpy. So I placed a piece of foam tape at the top and bottom of each of my sentiment circles, and then the middle will pretty much lay flat against the twine. This is also one of the reasons I mentioned earlier, maybe not doing the foam on the first layer would be better, because again, if you're going to mail these, this would just make it a little bit thicker, but this would be perfect for handing out in person. I always like to add a little extra sparkle to my cards, so for these I got out some silver diamond dots. I thought that would go well with the silver in that black twine, and I added 5 to each around the sentiment. And here are some close-up looks at the finished cards. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I put together my first set of cards using the February 2026 SheetLoad of Cards. If you did, as always, a thumbs up is appreciated. Let me know what your favorite tip was down in that comment section below. Now don't forget to go visit all of the creative team members' videos by clicking on the playlist in the description box below or as an end card here in just a few seconds. I know that I'm excited to go hop around and see how they made the SheetLoad their own, and I hope to see some of you over in their comment sections as well. Until my next video, I hope you're all having a crafty day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch all the way to the end of the video. I hope now you'll consider clicking on one of the videos or playlists I have linked above. And if you are interested in any of the products or tools I used in today's video, I do have some links in the description box below.